When I overthink, it comes from a few places. The first is that it comes from not wanting to screw something up. I want to make sure I have the facts in order so I'm able to act accordingly. But if I'm overthinking, then it feels like I'm overthinking because I'm taking too much time. And that comes from a good place of me not wanting to screw something up, either for somebody else or for myself. But it becomes detrimental. There's a negative return on investment of your time if you're just taking too long to move. And so something I've come to terms with is most of the time, you're going to be human when you're overthinking, and that's fine. But to really stop it when you become aware that it's becoming a little bit too much is you have to make a decision and then learn from that decision. So clarity often comes after action. And that's something I have on my wall, that I got stuck up on that for a long time, on the opposite of that, of thinking that I had to have the choices in place and know what I was doing and to make sure I didn't mess up. But how actual progress is created is by having that messiness that's there, cleaning things up along the way, but taking the courage of having the action in the first place of moving forward. And so that's what's needed. Another piece of me as to why I would overthink is a fear of failure or a fear of making the wrong decision. And what I just described, that really now overtakes that fear a lot of the time. But I'm still human, so sometimes it doesn't, or sometimes it just takes longer than it usually does for me to get past something. Something that helps is having accountability partners, people who I could trust and bounce off specific ideas of, and then I would practice the courage that I have of taking the action in my own, of my thoughts, but also practice the courage by believing in them and making progress, making moves on what they would suggest. And then I would get data. So out of every outcome is something that you can learn from. Should I do this the next time? Should I keep continuing this? Should I build this while I build this? And that's what it needs to be. But overthinking, nothing's really going to come to you nothing's going to come wrapped up for you safe and sound as a clear answer. My parents would always say, be careful, when you're leaving the house or when, we're separating for a while. But things are going to happen, even if you're careful. Terrible things are going to happen sometimes, because that's just life. But if you're organizing yourself in a way that you're prepared to take on stress, that you understand what to do when you have hardship coming your way, then when hardship comes your way, because it will, you will be there to meet it in a much more prepared fashion than other people who are not working on these skills. So the overthinking, a lot of the time, can come from a good place. But if you stay on it, the answer is not more thinking. And if you stay on just overthinking, it's not going to help you in the long term or even in the short term that often. What you would just need to do is get more used to making decisions, get used to failing faster, get used to making mistakes faster, and get used to forgiving yourself and giving yourself the grace and patience to do that in the first place. Those are the specific habits you would need to practice in order to start moving faster through these different kinds of scenarios. Because when you do, then confidence starts to build up. Confidence starts to build up on the notion of, if I make a decision that's wrong, or if it was the worst thing possible, or if I really messed up, you get more confident knowing that you can still stand back up again. You can still look back, look at the mistake, and learn from it, and make sure the thing doesn't happen again, or it's a much more difficult time for that negative outcome to come up again. So that's overthinking. Try not to overthink, but what you do is you would just empty it out on a sheet, journal, get it out of you, speak to somebody else, but most importantly, take action.